like really cold in my house right now. That's why I'm like all bundled up. Hey, I'm Michelle with Michelle I Loves Books. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing the end of year Superlatives book tag. I've been so excited to do this tag. I just think it's a really fun way to wrap up the year of reading and get the opportunity to talk about maybe some books or characters in a way that you haven't really talked about them yet. That's kind of how my answers have gone. Anyways, the creator of this tag is a book olive, and I will link her video below. Question number 1, most likely to be in the movies. The book that would make the best movie. Honestly, I ended up choosing Daisy Jones and the Six for this book, and if you've watched some of my recent videos, I have recently read that book, and it's not my favorite book. I didn't care for it that much. However, and being what it is, I'll bet you it will be a movie one day. But beyond that, I just feel like it would probably make a really good movie. I would watch the movie. I guess I should say what it's about. So Daisy Jones and the Six, quickly, because I've already talked about this a couple times, quickly what Daisy Jones and the Six is about is a rock band of the 70s, and they partner up with Daisy Jones and they make a record, they go on tour, and there's a bunch of drama and sex, drugs, rock and roll, the whole bit. And I think it'd be a good movie. Now, even when it comes to movies, it's not really kind of the kind of thing that I really like, but I'd still watch it. An obvious one would be Shadow and Bone or Six of Crows. They're already making a TV show about that one, so that's why I didn't initially choose that one. Another reason that wouldn't have been my first pick is just because I feel like as much as I love the series, I'm really nervous about the TV show. Like, I hope that it lives up to my expectations. I just feel like because of the way they've discussed doing it, combining the Grisha trilogy and Six of Crows together, like, I don't know how that's gonna work. It's driving me crazy. I'm sorry. I just don't know how that's gonna work, because technically only through Nina and Nikolai, that's the only connections between from one book to another book. And so maybe it'll exceed my expectations. Let's hope so. And then finally, I would also say Sadie would make a really good movie. Where is the book? Anyways, I don't know where the book is right now, but Sadie I think would make a really good movie as well. A lot of people really loved it, so I think it has a popularity behind it. But it's about a girl named Sadie, and her sister goes missing. She winds up dead. Sadie thinks she knows who did it, and so she goes out to find the culprit. On her journey, we learn a lot about her past, and simultaneously there's a podcast going on, and they are running an investigate. They're following the investigation around the missing girls, and the stories just kind of come together, and you find out the mystery of what happened. And it was so good, and some terrible things have happened to Sadie and her sister when she's growing up, and her mom is an addict. And the way the book is told, like, you know kind of what happened, but there's absolutely no graphic details. I just thought that book was so good, and I would love to see it turn into a movie. Question. I actually have a lot, so apparently I have a lot of books for this answer. Maybe that should be a video all of its own. Moving on to question number 2. The biggest drama king or queen. Who is the most overly dramatic character? Definitely Jace Wayland from the Mortal Instruments. I love Jace. I love him so much. But my goodness, that boy is drama. He is so funny, and I love him so much that, like, I can look past his drama. But there are some moments, especially in City of Glass, where I understand he's really, like, conflicted, and he's a kid, so, like, kids are a lot more, their emotions are a lot more heightened, and not understanding, like, he just plays himself up to be this monster, and so then he starts acting like a monster, back and forth about, like, nobody loves him, nobody cares about him, which I guess represents teenagers in general, as being accurate. However, yeah, he's very dramatic. Question number 3, best dressed. The book with the best cover. Okay, really, y'all? You had to do this to me? There are so many beautiful covers. There are different things that I find beautiful in covers, but this question is so difficult. In my initial kind of responses that I prep beforehand, I chose Paper Girls. I love the artwork. I love the color schemes. I love that it's very, like, retro. So there's that. I can go with that one. But, like, there's so many different things that I find absolutely gorgeous in books, and you just can't compare them. It's like comparing apples to oranges or something. I don't know, like, they're like the same thing, right? For example, okay, there are 2 colors that automatically I just really love. And that's black and that's white. This cover is like, you know, blacks and grays and like, I just love it. The thing I love most about this book is the colored pages, okay? If it has colored pages, I'm in. Oh, I guess this is kind of like books that you read this year. So Paper Girls Would Work. Six of Crows is another beautiful book, but they're like beautiful for two different reasons. God, I wish I could find my Sadie cover. I also really like white covers. So Sadie has a beautiful cover. You know, it's just like, it's simple and I love that cover. Question number 4, most creative. The book with the most unique plot, characters, or structure plot. The first one that came to mind was Skyward, the graphic novel. Mostly, I just think it's really unique in its subject matter, imagining the world with low gravity. As for structure, I'm gonna have to go with The Mother-in-Law. I definitely wanted to mention this book. It's about this relationship between Diana and Lucy. Lucy has been married into the family. Her husband's mom is Diana, so her mother-in-law. And it's about their relationship, and it starts off really rocky for most of their relationship. As the story progresses, so does their relationship. There's also like a mystery, thriller, suspense going on behind it because we follow this unique timeline. Diana has died. That's when the book starts out. They first ruled it a suicide because of circumstances. They believe she was murdered. The structure of it though is kind of crazy, but it worked so well in this book. So we have the past, from Diana and Lucy's perspectives. There's chapters, like dual chapters from each of their perspectives. And then we have the present from Lucy's perspective, and it's coming together to the end and what happened to Diana. Yeah, so the structure is very unique and it might put some people off, but like I said, I think it was done really well in this book. One other I have to mention for unique characters is Sorcery of Thorns. The characters are really unique, not the human characters. I thought that was the weakest element, is the human characters, and the romance was like the worst part. Is about these magical libraries. They house grimoires, and the grimoires are like a being in themselves. The world was so good. The premise of the story, there's demons, specifically Silas. In general, the demons serve humans. And I don't want to spoil anything, so like you just need to read it, but like how they come to the mortal realm is so very interesting. The books themselves are like characters all on their own, and our main character has a special relationship with the books because she grew up crawling around the stacks. It's almost like she can talk to them. It's just really cool. Question number 5. The book with the most ratings on Goodreads. I wish I had a better answer for this, like something I could really elaborate on or talk about, but I don't. According to Goodreads, the most popular book that I read this year was Hunger Games. I listened to it on audiobook, obviously a reread. Question number 6, most likely to succeed. The book that is going to be appreciated for many years to come. Again, you're doing this to me. I've had such an amazing reading year. I loved so many books this year. I could tell you all about the Grisha trilogy. Again, obviously that one's going to stick with me, and so is Court of Thorns and Roses. That one's gonna stick with me. They are like probably my 2 favorites. I can't even pick between which one's better. Those are my 2 top favorites that I read this year. So obviously those are going to personally stick with me, but I just feel like there's a few others that I will always remember. 2 of them I've already mentioned in this video, and that is Sadie and The Mother-in-Law. They're gonna stick with me for a completely different reason than I can just totally fangirl over it. I feel like they were very impactful personally because they were a couple of topics that were talked about that were just really hard hitting. And those kinds of things just don't leave you. I don't really know. Question number 7, Class Clown. The book that made you laugh. Now, I love a good humorous book, but I haven't really read any humor books this year. I guess I kind of could say City of Bones is really funny. I absolutely love the banter. It has me laughing out loud, but overall, I would have to go with I Hate Fairyland. This one is so fun. Oh, and Nimona. So I Hate Fairyland and Nimona. These 2 were so funny, and they're graphic novels, and both of them, the artwork is fantastic. So I Hate Fairyland is about Gertrude, and she like falls through her floor into Fairyland. She's supposed to play this game to get out of Fairyland, but she cannot solve the game. So it's been 30 years and she's stuck in a child's body, and she's stuck in Fairyland and she hates it. Everything is super cheery, like she's an alcoholic, she's murderous, and anybody who gets in her way, she just kills them. Question number 8, most improved. the book that started off slow but really picked up. For this one, I have to go with The Final Girls. I listened to it on audiobook. I had to restart it a couple of times because I just couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. To be fair, it probably could have just been me. I've been really distracted and I've been having a hard time really focusing on audiobooks, and my mind starts wandering on other things I need to do, and I realize I haven't been listening to the book. So to be fair, I think it was me. For this one in particular, I think that I missed something really integral about the plot from the get-go, which made it hard to kind of connect to it. So The Final Girls is about the sole survivors of these great tragic massacres. I guess I was under the impression going into it that they had all known each other, like in person, but like they hadn't. They've only known of each other because of the press. Because of the great massacres, because of the fact that they are the sole survivors, they've just naturally attracted a lot of press. They feel connected because they've each gone through something very tragic. One of the final girls ends up dead, and they start to wonder if the final girls are going to be targeted again. Somebody was like already in prison for the crime, but it drives our main character to go and meet one of the other final girls. Then it really starts to pick up and things start to happen, and that's when I really got into the book. But I do feel like it was a slow start, but I'm glad that I stuck with it because I love that book. Question number 9, I think I've been really anticipating answering this one. Cutest Couple. The cutest couple in a book. I will say, if you don't want to be spoiled, I'm just gonna grab the book. That way you can visually see. I'm gonna go ahead and hold up this book until I'm done answering the question if you don't want to hear who the cutest couple is. So you can mute it or something like that until I put the book down. So the cutest couple, and if you've read this book, you know who I'm gonna say. Rhysand and Feyre. They are just like the best YA, new adult. They're the best characters ever. Each of them alone is just fabulous. And then when they're together, they're just even better. Each of them has had a good deal of trauma, but when they start hanging out a lot more, they are really helping each other through their trauma. And not in the way that they are like, oh, forget it and move on, but they're sharing in the sorrow together and they can lean on each other. That is just like, that's health. Outside of that, they are like the ultimate power couple. And not because they're like king and queen or whatever, just because they work so well together. And it all starts out with their communication. So many books, the characters do not communicate their feelings, all this miscommunication going on. And they don't do that. They talk about everything. There's a couple things where they didn't like fully explain things, I believe. That's normal, but it's not just constantly going out of their way to miscommunicate things to each other and hide things from each other. Like, they are so honest with each other, and I love that. Question number 10, the biggest heartbreaker. The book that broke your heart. This one's easy too. That would be The Curiosities by Susan Gloss. I read this over the summer. It was a really good book. I am surprised that I liked a book like this, the topic, but I really enjoyed it and I really got into the characters. But this book was so heart-wrenchingly sad. I ugly cried, and I kept having to put the book down to just like go cry it off, and then I'd come back to read more. I don't like sad books. I think I said this before, I've said this a lot, but I don't like sad books. This one's a really sad one. Oh good, this is still recording. Okay, well, that wraps up this tag. Thank you for watching. Bye!